Gee. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Gino.
Thanks for the Matt V tea, man. I'm dying for one.
And I brought you half and half too.
Well, is it? Yeah.
That's about the best. That's the best flavor we make, I think.
The half and half?
Yeah.
Let me try it.
I think it's really good.
I mean, it's better than the Nantucket.
The nectar ones, I think it is. Yeah.
But how you doing, man? You're
good.
still. What happened?
I'm just old.
Oh, come on. How old are you?
56.
Okay.
No, I've got two. I've got get a hip replaced.
Just one?
The other one eventually, but the left one this time.
Is that from playing too much lacrosse?
Sports, being overweight, genetics. My dad and his sisters have all had it. My daughter has it. So I'm realizing now what happened to me.
Oh, that is
Isn't that good? I think
it's much better than Nantucket Nectars.
Yeah, isn't it good?
It's not as sweet.
It's a little less sweet, yeah.
It's got a little more.
A little more tea to it.
A little more tea to it.
Yep, exactly.
Love it.
Yeah, it's very good.
Gentlemen,
hey.
How are you?
Good.
So,
am I live? Are we live already?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everything starts with. It's all like live.
So I shouldn't have been picking.
So,
I shouldn't have been picking my teeth then.
were you picking your teeth?
I was just picking my teeth.
I can cut around that. I'll edit around that. Don't worry.
Right.
We got three cameras, 1, 2, and 1 outside.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. God, man, what a time to be a selectman, huh?
That's always the time to be a selectman. There's never a dull moment.
But before we get into that, because you're a selectman, how's business? Something natural.
It's when it's
30
sunny,
years?
When it's 32.
32. We're gonna have to wear your seatbelt.
Yeah, when it's sunny like this, it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
And when it isn't sunny, it's not as for us. But
Because you don't have interior seating.
I don't
Why
have
don't you ever put that in? Have you ever thought of that?
I've thought about it, but it's the neighbors. Maybe the neighbors have probably softened a little bit, but they I almost went out
Yeah,
of
but
business
everybody,
with them before.
Matt, Nantucket's not the way it used to be.
No,
everybody's like building on every square inch they can possibly put a pool or some way of making more money. I mean, why don't you do that?
Because I've got a pre-existing non-conforming use, and I said I wouldn't do it.
Oh, okay.
And I'm fine.
You probably could fight that now.
I probably could fight it, or I could, at some point they'll probably, who knows? They'll probably change the zoning because they're trying to make things conform. So at some point they may change the zoning, and it might be, but who knows? I mean, I'm happy as I am right now. So,
Okay.
And I'm happy with the neighbors, and it's, we're busy at lunchtime, but other than that, people have their neighborhood, and it's great.
Well, yeah, it is great, and there's more people here, there's no doubt about it, than there used to be. So, but there's a lot more sandwich places.
Well, there's a lot more competition.
There's coffee places making
Exactly.
sandwich. Does it affect your business?
To this point, it hasn't. Maybe it probably does a little bit. Like the island's grown and my business hasn't grown.
Right.
It used to go up, say, 10% a year for a while there.
Right.
When we had the bagel company over where the Green is now.
Oh, yeah.
That place, there was no takeout coffee. We did almost $1 million one year over there.
Oh my God!
And that was in $80-something.
Yeah.
You go back, and that was, we had an in and outdoor. We made it quick so people could get in and out quick, and we did great. But then since then, everyone's added coffee, and then everyone downtown's added sandwiches and coffee, and they're all fighting for the same numbers of dollars. It's not as easy. And the Stop and Shop in Cumbies, I was just talking to one of the food salesmen right before you got there.
No, how has that affected you, Cumbies?
That hasn't affected me.
Or how about your sister?
On the other side of the island, it's affected. I don't feel comfortable.
Your sister owns
Henry Jr. I don't feel comfortable. I won't speak for her.
Okay,
she can speak for
got
herself.
it.
But
Right.
I know for sure that a lot of people over there have had tough time.
Pizza places got to be affected.
Pizza, the meat market there, Cowboys, my sister. They're all, and there's going to be another Cumbies on the other side. So, some of these decisions that, it's business and it's free market and everything. You have to realize that it's hurting the small guy. It's hurting the people that have been here for so many years.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Matt, because right now, with the way things are and how insane the building boom is, are you in favor of a building cap?
Maybe I'm in favor of trying to figure something out. I don't know if it's a straight cap like before. One of the ideas I've heard that sounds pretty good is maybe second dwellings should go back to their actual use, which would be for year-round use, for resident use, and not be wedding factories and not be more Airbnbs and and everything else. Maybe we've got a housing crisis. Maybe we should be changing the incentives slightly. You know, I don't think we can solve those issues by just increasing demand. There's a mentality of supply. They say just increase supply, and the more supply we have, the price will go down.
Well, look at the jobs. Look at the people that come here. The people that were never here, that live on the Cape or live in other countries. They're all coming here, cramming into spaces in every house they can find, corners,
completely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people are hiring them.
Yep. And they're renting out beds for $300 a week, and you know, with 4 people in the room.
How can there be that much work? If we didn't have if we slowed growth down, slowed the amount of building down, and kind of like kept it closer to more of an island community,
right.
And wouldn't that slow things down?
That was the theory. That was Andy Wolf's theory. I'm not sure he follows that any longer, but I think the idea that we could spread it out and Bruce Killen used to always say that. He used to say, you know, I don't have to build a single new home, and my guys and myself will have work for the rest of our lives no matter what. And I think what's happening sort of differently now is it's not just, you know, it's not just an individual. It's not a rich guy, or it's not just like, you know, a Bruce Killen's crew. Now the whole thing, it's corporate. And it's investment companies, and it's you know, portfolios, and we're facing a whole different level of, you know, financial sophistication and, you know, returns and rate of returns and all things that, you know, we wouldn't have thought about 30 years ago.
But we did think about the land bank 30 years ago. We did think about, you know, having half the island being
thank God.
unbuildable.
Thank God we did.
Okay, so that's an unbuildable requirement.
Yes.
So what's the difference between saving half of the island and not building on it and having a building cap? I mean, it just makes sense, it seems.
Well,
like
I think the problem with the building cap is there's in all of these things is that you do, you know, I think the outside demand is so great it won't matter much, but you are gonna, you know, put some demand on, and people might even push more to do more than they can right now because it's like a 7-year grandfathering, and there's all these other things. So the time to put the building cap on was kind of when we had it. The time to deal with second dwellings.
When was that anyway?
I don't remember exactly the dates. The second dwellings situation that almost passed, that was going right into the downturn. Would have been perfect. We would have put demand onto second dwellings right when there was a downturn.
Right.
So that, you know, so in retrospect, that would have been a great time to do something like that.
So if we were to change that and make second dwellings only for year-round housing, how would that have to come about? Through town meeting?
Probably, yeah, it'd have to go through town meeting. It'd probably get challenged.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and there'd be some grandfathering, so people would be able to do it for a certain amount of time. You know, and
have we gone too? Do you think we've gone just too far? I mean, are we beyond?
No, I don't think so. I think some of it is a pattern. If we can start to put more density in the right areas, you know, if we start to put the density out in the countryside, then we're done. We're sort of dead in the water. But I think if we can, you know, add the density in the areas that can support it, that has sewer and water, transportation, walkable to downtown, walkable to Stop and Shop. If we kind of design the parts of the island that aren't like downtown and make them more like downtown, then I think we'll be all right. It'll still be desirable.
Do we run the risk of overbuilding? Like, you know, we do need housing. Let's say we did it for year round.
I think what I always say is the housing needs to have, if you're going to do a quote-unquote affordable housing, then you need to have some sort of guardrails on the price, some sort of restriction. Either it has to be a year-round person, or it has to be restricted to a certain price. If you don't do that, all you're doing is you're giving it to someone affordably for one sale, and the next sale it's out of reach.
Well,
and like if you look at Nashaquisset and Nosh Shop, those are great developments. And when they first came in, this is great. This is where the year-rounders will live. And now they're 3/4 someone else.
They sold them.
Yeah, they sold them and made a lot of money.
They made a lot of money.
Made a lot of money, but and the same thing. Those business, the small, I think they were Sears kit houses, were behind the Inquirer Mirror. Those houses on, I can't remember the name.
Right.
Back there, they were all, the guys came back from the war, and here are these houses,
right.
That's where they all lived, and now they're all turning into businesses.
Yes, they are.
So unless you have some permanent restrictions on there somehow, you're not going to get there. And I also think that all the people that talk, Bobby and I argue about this every other selectmen's meeting. oh, it's the land bank's fault. If it wasn't for them, we'd be all set. No, we wouldn't. If it wasn't for them, we'd be in worse shape. The land you develop costs you $1.05, $1.07. For every land, for every dollar you get, it costs you 7 cents. For every one you put away, you make money. So, from a financial standpoint, we're fortunate half the island hasn't turned into subdivisions.